or Mexican.
All right, guys. This is our group in person.
My wife's car.
Welcome. I'm Scott Stimson with International Computer Solutions, and this is the San Carlos Computer Club. As always, we meet Tuesdays at 10. Hey!
Round of applause.
Actually, we should be excited because we've got so many people in our in-person meeting that haven't been with us forever. We've got Paul with us today. We've got Linda with us today. We've got Rich with us. Jim only shows up for the in-person meeting.
Yes.
So when he pops onto the virtual meeting, we'll congratulate him.
I have. You don't see me pop on
No, we don't.
because there's no volume. I don't have a mic. On
Oh, well,
on
the
TV.
times you have popped
So I
on,
just
you're right.
pop in and look. Goodbye.
And Bill is right beside me, like always.
And is usually virtual and in person.
That's right. So welcome all of you. I sent out a document of possible topics last night, and then AI has gone nuts, and everybody wants to talk about that. So we could start with that if anyone's interested. Let me get my document up. Apparently the market fell out because of an announcement from an app that China released that has been able to do AI much faster, much cheaper. No, the same thing, much cheaper than what we're doing right now, and it deflated the financial market in AI. How come I can't find what I'm for? Should have this right in front of me. Give me 1 second as I bring up our document, and you'll be thinking about anything aside from what I sent out that you might be interested in talking about, because as always, I'm more interested in your topics than my topics. Good job, Scott. You just
How many
closed it
people
again.
are having trouble with DNS Smart Proxy?
DNS Smart Pro. Oh, thank you. You're having problems with it?
Everybody is.
Oh, it's so good to hear that. I mean, I'm sorry people are having problems, but it took me an hour and a half the other day and a Twitter account to figure out what was going on. I have a customer out in Delphine that's like, well, you can get to Hulu, you can get to Disney Plus. What's going on with Amazon?
Correct. One of their major servers or network connections actually is in LA, and it burned up in the fire. And they're working. At first, they thought it was them, so they were working on fixing it at their end. That was on Thursday and Friday, and then by the end of the weekend, they found out it was their end is fine, and it's LA that's having it burned up. So they're getting it redone, and time will tell.
So what we're talking about is Smart DNS Proxy,
It doesn't work.
which is one of the services that we've been recommending for over 10 years now.
But there's a workaround.
Okay.
If you're a registered version of Smart DNS, turn on your VPN. Slam bam, Amazon, everything works perfectly.
So the proxy's not working.
The proxy isn't working. The VPN works perfect.
Oh, that's
And fast.
that's good
A
to
lot
know.
faster than it used to be in the old days.
Well, I wonder if that's the reason that I didn't find a lot of complaints. What I found was a lot of a Smart DNS Proxy justifying what was going on. Not like defending themselves, but saying, look, hey, we don't know what our ETA is. We lost major servers. I mean, this was all on the Twitter account. I figure it must be really convoluted because their page isn't even refreshing with right information. When you go to their page, it shows all services up, but that's just not true.
Oh, I don't never look at that
Yeah.
page. I only look at the activate your account.
Right, but if you look at their list of services, it shows you what's up, what's down, and it shows everything in the green all the time. I'm like, that's not right. I can go to this service right now, can't do a thing with it. But thank you, Jim. That's a great suggestion, because if you are a registered Smart DNS Proxy user, you have access to their VPN clients as well.
And it's free.
And you can use that VPN client to go to another region other than LA. and get a link out into the United States. And if what Jim's saying is true, you're back in business.
Yep, been watching Amazon every night, and it only now I got 250 down normally. I get 235 down with the VPN on Smart Proxy, which used to be like way down.
That's awesome. I need to make a note here to remind myself to use the VPN. My customers can be really happy because right now they're just living without Amazon Prime. I'm like, this is crazy. I don't know what's going on. We need to find out from Smart DNS. And Smart DNS, you know how typically, I mean, they must be a smaller operation. Typically, they've got a chat button there, and you can reach out and chat with them.
It's only the chat button doesn't come up when you log into your account anymore. It's only if you go into log onto their first screen and don't log in.
Oh.
Then the chat.
Oh, as
is
soon
there.
as you've paid money, you can't chat with them?
Well, no, you just don't log in to chat with them.
Right. They're like, oh my gosh, this is one of our customers. We don't want to talk to them.
Yeah. But if you look at their Facebook page,
Yeah.
it's been giving regular updates.
Okay. Yeah, I found it on Twitter doing regular updates, and so that's where I got my information. Use Smart DNS Proxy VPN. There we go. Cool. Welcome, Irving.
I had an interesting happen last night.
Okay.
I had my VPN on and I was watching Netflix. Right in the middle of watching Netflix comes up this.
It sounds like your VPN failed.
Yeah,
You know how Netflix does it is they've got like 4 different directions that information comes at you from.
yeah.
And all you have to do is grab one of those incorrectly and it thinks you're on a VPN and won't let you do anything. Not that you have any control over that. It's the client that does that.
Okay,
But
so what do you do?
well, that's what I'm saying is that you don't
Change
have a lot
your
of control over that. Change your server like Jim said. Maybe contact the customer support for VPN and go, hey, all of a sudden I can't get Netflix down here. And they help you sort out where you're supposed to be connected for it to work.
Oh, okay.
And make sure your IP6 is turned off.
IP6 will, yeah.
Oh,
IPv6 will cause all, because they can just go right around and see exactly what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
okay. So turn that off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that should never be on.
There's really no reason to use IPv6. IP6 will,
And your volume.
IPv6 will cause all, because they can just this is fun. Maybe I should turn off my microphone.
No, he's got it on.
Yeah.
The microphone.
Great. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. Technical glitches.
Oh, and also so you know that the DNS proxy VPN doesn't keep any logs either.
Okay.
So,
I mean, when we say that, we're always like they say they don't keep any
Right.
logs. Let's qualify that always. They have said their business model is one in which they are not tracking you.
It's a U.S. based.
no.
I would think not with that kind of
Turkey,
statement.
actually. I thought it was
Turkey?
Turkey, from what I understand.
Interesting.
Yeah. I thought it was Sweden. But
Well, it's been a go-to for years now. I would say over 10 years we've been using Smart DNS Proxy. And
yeah.
you don't typically think of having these kinds of problems. But then when you see fires in LA have brought down one of our major data centers, and you're like, well, okay, I guess you could have a problem like that.
We'll let you.
Chester's got his hand up. Chester, did you want to contribute? You got something for us? Hello?
You turned off your mic.
No, my mic's back on.
Oh.
Chester is muted. I don't know if he knows that or not.
He does now.
I know now. I'm sorry. I have a non-technical horror story to tell whenever run out of technical issues.
Okay. Well, why don't we hold off on that simply because it's not tech, and we'll keep moving with computer topics until we get a chance, Chester.
Sure.
VPNs. Okay. Thank you, Jim, for the education on VPNs. What's happening now?
Not me.
Okay.
Not me.
Are you looking at the subject?
So, Jim enlightened me to what was going on with ExpressVPN. And I had not been paying any attention. But it requires more research. All I can say right now is ExpressVPN is no longer one of my recommendations. That's it. I don't have one to give you. I am a big fan of smart DNS proxy.
Proton.
Well, Proton.
Proton has an extensive
Is
VPN.
there a problem with Express? I have no problem with
Technically, it's working just fine. But what Jim enlightened me to, and I did a little bit of research on this, there's a company out of Israel that is notorious for injecting malware into advertising platforms. That's how they built their business. And then the money they made out of that, they bought up all these VPN providers. So the whole relationship has become very sketchy. And so I won't recommend ExpressVPN, not because I think it works really well. I like the software, the firmware that goes into the routers. I like their customer support. I got no problems with that whole aspect of it. This is a play to get a hold of your information and to abuse their position. They have bought all these VPNs. It's not just ExpressVPN. They bought almost a dozen VPN providers. We need that list, and we need to pay attention to this company, and we need to avoid that stuff. Richard's quick recommendation of Proton VPN. I'm sorry that didn't pop out of my mouth, but he's absolutely right. It's vetted. It's a secure VPN.
And it's Swiss based.
So it would make a lot of sense if you had to make a quick. You what did you just recommend for VPN? No, was it me saying proxy? Smart proxy is
That it works and it's free if you already have DNS Smart Proxy.
It's a smart DNS
Surfshark
proxy.
is supposed to be real good too.
Yeah. So by next week, we should come in with a list of the VPNs that we do appreciate. Because this is not one. This is I'm going to call this a last pass move.
The only trouble is this move was
It was 2
4
years
years
ago.
ago.
I thought it was 2. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. It was 3 years. It was, yeah, no, now it's 4 years. Unbelievable. I had no idea this was going on. So no, I'm not going to recommend ExpressVPN any longer.
I think they're too pricey.
too good.
Don't you think they're too pricey?
ExpressVPN?
Yeah.
they're not the only ones. It's Express, VPN, PIA, Private Internet Access, and the other one was Surfshark. Was it Surfshark?
That's why I say I really need to dig deeper into it. I'd like us to have a list of VPNs to avoid. And this seems like, if you read about this company that has purchased all these VPNs, you would want to avoid this company. So I'm hoping that what we'll do is we'll put together a list, because we're talking about security and privacy. Yeah. Any of these VPNs are going to offer you security from the point you're at. If it's going to keep you secure from some hacker on your network, someone in a coffee shop trying to grab your passwords. But what we're really talking about is the data brokerage problem that we have right now on the internet, where there's accumulation of data that can easily be unanonymatized and used nefariously, sold specifically for it. And this company is definitely setting itself up to be a data broker in that respect. This is one of my big fears of everybody moving to VPNs and regulation coming into place. We could find ourselves with very limited options on VPNs, and all those options are subject to sharing that information with governments. And all of a sudden, the security we're looking at, or the privacy we might be looking for, is completely gone. Well, I was hoping Fred would join us today. I talked to him over the week. He sent me a text message, says hi to the group, was planning on joining us from Michigan today. But you know what he's told me is, in all the cruising that they've been doing, T-Mobile has rocked. He's found free data throughout all the countries that he has brought his T-Mobile connection to. He's only had one experience where he had to pay extra data. In all the other countries, it was free. So he was endorsing T-Mobile. That's what you used to? Have you ever run across a location where you had to pay extra for data? Well, that's a ringing endorsement for T-Mobile. T-Mobile, I know of a lot of people that bring T-Mobile down here and have a lot of success with it. Well, Fred, we're thinking about you. I wish you were in our meeting with us today. And what else we got going on?
Maybe you couldn't get on with T-Mobile.
Well,
Go ahead, Irving.
I think the big subject is this Chinese AI, number one.
All right.
And number two, can we access it?
Yes. That's the reason it's just blowing up, is because they put it in the App Store and everybody can access it. I haven't tried accessing it yet. It caught me completely off guard. I was coming in here with completely different topics.
Well, evidently it rocked the stock market and they lost $1 trillion because there's one little item. So can we download it on our computers or just on where can we download it and use it?
I believe it's App Store. So anywhere that you're at, like your iPad there should be able to get access. You should be able to find DeepSeek in the
I tried this morning on my computer. I wasn't able to.
I would imagine, and I have not looked at all, but I would imagine that on a computer you're looking for a website.
So what are we looking for on the phone?
Well, it's called
In the Play
DeepSeek.
Store?
Yeah, that's where I would expect to find it.
And what's it called?
DeepSeek.
Oh, yeah, that's what I.
Yeah. And their big claim to fame is to be doing the same thing at $6 million that ChatGPT is
Here it
doing at
is.
$100 million.
Yeah, you might have, yeah, it's here.
It's right here.
Right, AI, chat on AI,
It looks like a
DeepSeek.
little whale or something.
There is,
Huh?
they had a DDoS attack yesterday.
Oh, they
So
did?
they shut it. Somebody's trying to mess with DeepSeek. So you might have a little hitch, but that's not because they're incompetent. That's because they were attacked.
Right. I wonder
I'm-
who's
I'm-
attacking them.
Yeah. It's-
It might be an AI company from the United States.
Who knows?
From the Play Store.
Who knows?
Who knows?
A vested interest in it?
The beauty of AI is they could just say they don't know what's going on. It may be an AI doing it. Some disgruntled executive just asked for some things to be done at ChatGPT and then walked out the door.
Yeah.
The prompt was bring down DeepSeek.
I mean, they open source MIT license. They open source the code.
They're
Not the training database. That's
Right.
That's proprietary, but how it operates is open source.
This kind of catches me off guard because up until this moment, I was under the impression, the way I understood the lore of AI, is that all of our companies are basing their AI development off of what Google open sourced like 15 years ago. That model is what all these other bot models are on. And it was actually at that time a real defeat for Google because nobody took it seriously. Nobody picked it up and ran with it. And even Google's own interest in it deflated because there was so little consumer interest in what they might be doing with it. So now this DeepSeek has come out and they're like, it's an open source model. Like, is it the same one? Is it the one that Google released so many years ago?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, this is why I'm not ready for this topic. I don't have any of this information. But it's interesting that's one of the
You know
things.
what? I suspect it isn't, because they're talking about well, it could be based on it, but they're talking about these radical increases in efficiency, computing efficiency.
Right.
Which is why it can run on
But what I find
the less
interesting,
powerful
it
chip.
came out of China and it's completely open source.
Right.
We would think it would be just the opposite.
Well, again, let's not lose track of the fact that this move is to stick it to the American chip manufacturers. Like they could have done it open source specifically to say, screw you. Now your people can make it too, and they don't need your chips because we don't need your chips.
And to be just to NVIDIA.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's not the American chip manufacturers, plural.
Well,
it's
not even.
As
It's
a practical matter, it's NVIDIA.
How would you refer to it? Because it's not even American manufacturers. It is
No.
what America has access to, and they have limited to China through regulation.
Yes.
It's that agenda they're sticking it to.
Yes.
And
They're just feeding us. That's what's happening in everything.
well, what a great example of how things like tariffs aren't helping. Regulations like this are not helping. You squeeze them, and they find a more intelligent way to do what we're
Actually
trying to
drive
do.
them excellence.
That's right. That's exactly what's
We
happened.
motivate them.
Right. Now that hasn't happened in our country. I don't know why. Intel's been making horrible chips for years. You would think that we'd have better programmers. Hasn't worked in the United States.
Well, I don't know if they've made chips or the competition is outpaced them.
Well, tomato. Why wouldn't their chips go along the same developmental route as any other competition?
Probably market share and
Complacency.
Complacency. Definitely, but I would also say engineering to the extent of like doors flying off of Boeing planes. Like these last two generations of chips were sold at a peak performance that they later found ate up the chips. That's a quality control issue. To fix it, you can't fix it. They had to give a 5-year refund or a 5-year warranty on top of whatever warranty it had. And the fix was to download firmware into the chip to do what? To dial down that performance that they were selling you so that it doesn't eat itself up. So those are Intel's Boeing airplane doors.
Well, it's really strange coming from our generation that every computer I've ever had Intel chip.
Mm-hmm.
And I doubt. Well, listen. It was wonderful until about 4 or 5 years ago, and I have a 10th gen i7, and it's beautiful. And I don't think that my next computer will have an Intel chip. I doubt that very seriously.
Maybe a qualifier that is it might be branded Intel, but it wasn't designed by Intel, or it definitely wasn't fabricated by Intel.
Well, I think everything's going to be fabricated by TSMC at some point. Everybody will just throw in the towel.
Yeah. Well, it's if we were to have a section that was dedicated to refined fabrication, any one of us could be, well, I mean, within reason, within merit, could be a chip manufacturer. Like if you had the skills to design and engineer your own chip, you could just send it off to the fab and have them make it at a specific price. So it seems to me like focusing our energies into feeling secure with that, feeling reliable with that kind of model would just open up more development, more design, more innovation. So what you're proposing I think that'd actually be a good thing, given the right guardrails. Irving, I saw your finger up. Did you want to say something?
I can see an answer to it. I can't get into DeepSeek. They're asking me for a phone number, and they're putting a +86, which is not the code that I.
No, you have to use your email. Did it?
Are you in?
No, they're sending me a code.
Okay,
I haven't gotten the code yet.
They're not asking me.
Yes, only your email.
They're not asking.
Doesn't it?
Maybe, well, maybe, and I have not looked at it, but maybe it's asking you for a phone number because you're not on a phone. Maybe.
I'm doing it on the phone.
So
So
are
they've
we
already
saying
got
that
your
that's
phone
number. Okay, so
already
then they
that's
ask you
already
for this.
harvested her email? That's the thought?
No, harvester phone number.
I mean, excuse
Yeah.
me, harvested her phone number.
That I have
because
not
she's
looked
doing-
at the app at all, but if you're having a different experience on the tablet than
Right.
you are on the phone,
Right.
Yeah,
You-
I can sign in with Apple. I'm just gonna see if I can find my.
I'm just using some common sense. I haven't
Okay.
looked at it at all. I have
I
no
like
idea.
So you, all right, so you have to sign up with your email. Then I did the password. Then I send the code. It asks you to pick out the little da-da-da-da-da. They haven't sent me the code
Are they sending it to your phone or to your email?
email.
Okay. Interesting.
The only email registration is supported in your region.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh,
It's
don't
just,
know.
it's just the meeting. What happened to the meeting?
And they're only showing on the Play Store my phone, Chromebook,
Sorry guys, didn't mean to disconnect from you.
tablet, but the tablet would have to be phone.
Well-
Try to navigate the system.
Another thing that's interesting, just in terms of installing applications like we are at the table here. Linda's on an Android device, which is definitely going to have a slightly different experience than an iPhone. You're on an iPad, which they quite intentionally design a different app for the iPad than they do for the iPhone. And so there's a very good chance that even your experience on your phone would be different than your experience on your iPad. And
Not sending me the code.
maybe it's in your junk mail? It is from China.
I didn't think about the job. Bam.
Would be.
Good possibility.
It would be if it came to me.
Nope. Nope.
Well,
We
again, they had this packet. So
Oh,
They're gonna
that's
be
right.
Slow.
it's entirely possible that things aren't moving particularly
All right,
smoothly
well, I'll keep
today.
looking here before
Yeah.
we,
It may not come till tonight.
may not.
Or ever.
Well, I mean, they've had massive interest.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's what it's just blowing up. It's just everyone's doing what you guys are doing. DeepSeek, what is that? Well, you can download it, and they're downloading it.
Right.
So this is happening across the country right now.
They got more business than they know what to do with.
Well, and they've really made a mark in this moment in time, like Richard came in saying, watching the AI environment just deflate all at once. We have, Richard and I have talked about this quite a bit, and it's always been a question of when's this bubble going to pop? It really feels like the dot-com bubble or the mortgage crisis bubble. It's like when is the tipping point when more people have caught on to what's going on? They've used this AI bubble as speculative value, as an investment opportunity, more than they have a technological opportunity.
You know, to respectfully suggest a link,
Yeah.
and there's an asterisk on this because of his profanity, but some of Ed Zitron's
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
both writing and video stuff about AI. That guy named Ed Zitron, quite bright.
A great podcast he does is called Better Offline, and he just rails into the AI industry. very disappointed with our society wasting so many resources for such marginal results.
I mean, and there is a disclosure that Ed can be very profane.
Yeah.
So
Well,
if that bothers you, it's probably
the visceral that he feels, you get to feel
He's
when
an
you
angry
listen
man.
to him. Yeah.
He's very angry.
he is. He's an angry guy.
It's like me when I stub my toe.
Yeah, no, and so you just
Well,
if that's a problem, that's a problem.
I can kind of feel it. I grew up with an ideological idea of what technology could bring to this world, and this is not what I imagined it would be. I feel like we've come out on the other side of that rainbow, and instead of a pot of gold, it's just a pot of turds.
Yeah.
That I feel where he's coming from.
Oh, so do
have the
I.
exact same thing.
Yeah.
I thought this was the revolution, the peace to the world, togetherness.
Sure.
Felt a lot of ignorance. Dead, the world's gotten worse.
Yeah. Is it taking advantage of people, making sure that we can't trust any of the information we're sharing with each other, creating animosity in borders? I would not even begin to know what the solution is, but I definitely know it's not this. This is not making things better. And so all that's reflected in Better Off Dead. When you listen to one of his episodes, he's very current. Each one of his episodes is right on top of whatever news is happening right now with AI. And he's just got a mouthful.
He's been predicting AI evaluation.
Which may have just started.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear his, I'm sure in the next few days he's going to have.
He'll stop cursing.
No.
No. 0% chance of that.
Have you been following him, Bill?
Something it popped the other day. It just all of a sudden, here he is. I thought, whoa, I like this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know where it was on Blue Sky or I don't know where it was. I saw him. Like it just came up.
Blue Sky. Yeah. Are we hooked up on Blue Sky together? I just recently put the computer club on Blue Sky, and Ed was one of the first people I followed. I wonder if we're in the same algorithm. If that would be the reason you started seeing him.
No,
But he's become a known voice for this alternative perspective on what AI really means.
Well, and his analysis, beyond the profanity, his analysis of all of the falsehoods that the AI people are pitching, and they pitched it to the VC people, and now that they've gone public, they're pitching it to the general public, and why this is all lies. It's lies about the nature of the technology, what it ever could achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where we talk about how OpenAI developed, Sam Altman developed a wing of a nonprofit organization to bring in money because they couldn't go any farther with the development that they had, and it was impressive and shiny, and he knew it would bring in bucks if he showed it off to people. But he knew that it wasn't going to go beyond that.
It's a complete con.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
It's just a con.
It's a grift. And there are things, this is the thing that aggravates me the most, and I think it aggravates people like Richard as well, is the things that do work and benefit from the concept of AI have worked and have just gotten better for the last 15 to 20 years. We never called it AI. We were just using the same kind of methodology.
ML. It was machine learning.
Machine learning. Or fuzzy logic before that.
Yes.
Fuzzy logic.
Yes.
Yeah. And so they
And these
branded.
are okay things.
Yeah, we need these things. These things are very important.
Yeah.
It's the reason your pictures look better without you thinking about it. It's the reason that your documents go out spelled correctly. It's
But
without thinking about
it.
it.
It's not transformative in the way mobile computing was. That's what they're trying to say, that everything changed with the iPhone, everything changed with mobile computers. And therefore, trillions of dollars of value were created because of transformation. This is not that.
Wow. What you just said made me think about, I wonder if there's possibility for American companies to get tax breaks because of the deflation of value all of a sudden that's being caused by Chinese influence in the market. Just you wait. People are not thinking any deeper than the first level concepts. Well, I was disappointed with Altman back when he was let go, and public sentiment was, why? Because you've got some of the brightest people in computer science saying this man is dangerous to AI. We need to get him off of this board. And Microsoft's like, no, we just gave him $1 billion. He's staying, or he's bringing everybody over to our company.
$10 billion.
Billion?
Billion.
Yeah, the B one, not the M.
And that's
Well,
when
these people are burning money at a just, I wouldn't quote a number because I'd have to be looking at some
well,
sort of,
they're
but the kind of money that they're burning, the AI community, so to speak, is just, it's unprecedented in tech.
Well, you think about this world that we're living in with the environmental concerns. We're all trying to limit the amount of electricity we're using, and then flip it over to Microsoft wants to open 3 Mile Island again, so that they can power AIs, so they can have this electricity available.
This number I am accurately conversant with. In 2024, AI, not going to curse, stuff.
Well, if you do, we're going to call you Ed.
consumed for roughly 4.5 electricity. This year, 2025, AI will consume over 5% of all the electricity in the United States. That is insane for stuff that creates shrimp Jesus and, make this into Shakespearean language, make this into a limerick.
We can list the things that are just awesome because of AI. I mean, the things like the programming that I'm doing, the translations. Again, we always say spelling, grammar. That stuff is just, we want a photo update, like the taking the grains out of photo. I don't even know what that's called, but
I think that's what.
When AI gets fully implemented, we will have to double the amount of power we produce in the United States.
Yes, sir. I am aware of that statistic. That's accurate.
What's this guy's name? It's Ed.
Ed Zefron.
How do you spell his last name?
So the
CDF.
world is burning
Okay,
up,
that's a French.
and
You know what's easy is just Google Better Offline.
Consumption needs.
Better
for shrimp juice.
Yeah, Better Offline. You remember the movie Better Off Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is Better
Yeah.
Offline.
and have an electric
Line
car.
or line?
You know, like
And so-
online,
and
offline.
so
Oh, okay.
Mr.
Better
Altman
offline.
could be a very,
Got
very,
it.
very wealthy man.
I hate AI. The only thing I think AI does good is on the television. I got 2 new TVs and they both have AI in them.
Okay.
Boy, and they take an old program and it turns it into 2150.
Well, I mean,
It looks really good.
That's just upscaling, and that
Yeah,
really
everything has been branded AI. Everything's
Yeah.
Copilot
That's
now.
not,
Yeah, and
it's upscaling.
but
No.
for me, that's all I want. I don't.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
and
right.
they branded it AI, so you associate that with AI, but in fact, that's just
It's
upscaling.
upscaling, yeah, I
know.
But it got a lot better.
Well, okay, fair enough.
Well, and those represent areas where this kind of technology makes sense. And when they can, like your TV, that's a great example. That's got to be in your TV. They can't be doing that in a data center.
Yeah, it's TV.
They've got to be doing it in your TV. So they've brought language models to your TV set specifically for upscaling. They've put hardware in there specifically to make it look good. And it's probably a black box because that's what we've been seeing. We've been seeing grainy, broken photos be restored because the black box has looked at 100,000 grainy, broken photos that have been restored, and they see the restore process. This is really impressive stuff. But where it starts getting really expensive is you can't make movies with it, even though it looks cool. It looks like magic for 30 seconds, but it's not. You're not going to make a whole film out of it. And by even if you do, you're still going to waste time. Oh my God, like my logo experience, trying to get my globe to spin around. Has no idea what a globe is. It gave me the globe. I asked him for a globe. It gave me a globe. I'm like, spin it around to Alaska. Has no idea what a globe is. It's that kind of stuff that's wasting resources all the time because it is not intelligence. It's never going to be intelligence. That was OpenAI's point in the first place. You shouldn't be selling this as a route to intelligence. They knew what Sam was doing, and they're like, this is not ever going to be intelligence.
It's a con.
It's a con.
It's snake oil. Cures what ails you.
And so it is. It's to be expected that it will pop, and that all this artificial speculative value will deflate out of these companies, and then they'll start building up again because we don't have any real good regulation to stop any of this from happening.
Well, I think that the sad part, much as I enjoy the early days of the AI collapse, is this is going to have a devastating.
Oh, wait a minute. You repeat that, please.
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying
What's
it.
the word? There's a German word.
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude.
Yeah, no, it's huge, man.
Here's a
I'm all
perfect
about it.
example.
Absolutely, man. Taking pleasure in another person's misery. And, but this is going to have a devastating effect on the tech sector in general because so much money is going to be lost. And I don't know, you're an investor, you understand these things. But, I don't know where money goes, gets lost in the stock market, it just
Somebody's
sort of
pocket.
Well,
evaporate.
Well, the value isn't there. They're fictitious value.
There you go.
Like art. There is such a thing as art, but most of the billion stuff is fictitious bullshit.
Well,
Most of your jewelry is the same exact thing.
Isn't when we see this deflate in value? I know we're doing computer club and now we're getting into finance, but when we see this kind of drop in value, aren't what we're witnessing a loss of respect? Not respect. What is it? Faith. Thank you. Faith in what that company's value really is, and people are dumping out of it. They're selling it as quickly as they can, and all of a sudden there's much more supply.
But does anybody here invested?
You mean like Bitcoin?
it's not,
Commodities?
That's a fantasy.
Basically,
Pork bellies.
it's a side bet on something that has nothing to do with any physical value.
Right.
It's just a side bet. It's like it's almost like a football game. You can bet on when or those squares they use, or the numbers going to. There's no real substance to side value, which has no value. Only the fact that you compete against each other creates it.
well, I think that, and
In this
talks
case,
about this.
they're not competing anymore. Everybody's trying to get out of it.
But everybody's going to get so burned.
They're not going to because they stock market. It's going to adjust. Never was worth anything. Or matter.
But I think we're talking about the same. I'm sorry I interrupted what you were going to say, Richard, but I didn't want to leave that without exploring it more, mostly for my own edification. We are talking though about people getting out of the stock, and this drop in prices representing the overwhelming amount of demand or of supply that is available with a lack of demand for it in the
Right,
financial
but there's
market.
still going to be a market. Like, let's take a look at the 2004, 2008 real estate collapse. happened, it wiped out half of the Western growth completely,
Mhm.
all over. And now we're right back to the prices are over what they were,
Yeah.
and people still can't afford.
Yeah,
it.
if
And this is the same book, only a repeat of the last performance. Out of time.
in that respect, if you look at the 52-week low of Nvidia, the price that this bubble has popped at and left it at is still almost twice the price it's been in less than a year.
It's early days, baby.
You think it's going to keep going down?
You're enjoying this way too much.
Yeah, I do. I really do.
Well, I
I
can
really do, because all of that valuation is, or a substantial part of that valuation is based upon the idea that they're actually going to build out all these data centers. Well, when the money dries up, the VC money and the market money dries up, and we say, oh, well, we're not going to build that massive data center in Oklahoma that's going to take $10,000, $50,000 a pop NVIDIA chips. You see what I'm saying? This is very early days.
Well, I can revel in the same thing you are. It's so reminiscent of the first .com bubble, where I found myself as a tech person looking at these companies and like, well, this company just sold to Microsoft for $100 million. And you're looking at the company and you're like, but they don't do anything.
Right, and
They got a pretty
I knew
webpage.
people, not closely, but I knew people.
Like, how come I'm not making $100 million? I do nothing.
You're not a chosen person.
I've done a lot of nothing in my life. I put a lot of nothing online.
You're doing the wrong nothing.
I guess that's what it is.
I knew people in that .com bubble who sold ideas
Right.
Yep.
That's
for $50 million.
right. Yeah.
Absolutely no implementation, no code, no product, just a notion.
Just an idea. Yeah.
Thank you.
In fact, it lent itself to the idea that ideas were worth something.
I was just going to say there's no change.
Follow through is what it's lacking.
But that's really actually, just to agree with you, that's actually very similar to this, because these are companies that don't have any products.
That's right.
I mean, an app that you're giving
There-
away for free.
what's the
that
analogy?
can turn something into a limerick and nobody's paying for it. That's not really a product.
The analogy is they're selling the shovels. It's a gold rush, and they're selling the shovels and picks.
But I just want to observe one thing.
Yeah.
It's no different than if you take the value of market, which have a value, and you take the value of the actual company, they're not even related to, so overpriced for the value
Oh,
of the stock market is a no relation to the company.
Well, but that varies a lot by companies. For example, OpenAI is now worth more than General Motors. Now, General Motors actually turns a profit. They produce cars. They've turned a profit for,
actually, Richard, I think you're making his point for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's absolutely the point.
This other thing is nothing other than a money incinerator.
Well, one of the most infuriating things that I've learned as I've been paying attention to this late in life, for the first time in my life paying attention to investing, is how often you find a company that its stock is just incredibly valuable, and that you look at their yearly earnings,
And there it is there.
there's nothing there. They're losing money every year. It's like another Amazon story, right? And Amazon got so big writing that story that now they just have a funnel of money they can turn on when it needs to look like they look like a good investment, and turn it off whenever they want to hang on to the money. It's crazy, and it's all out of proportion.
So I really would recommend.
Okay.
The meeting that occurred in Iowa didn't help me, but probably can't. The Federal Reserve, how they created the Federal Reserve
Well, that sounds like a fun book. It sounds like an even funner
Well,
movie.
it's pretty,
Yeah.
it's very scary. Can't stay right.
All right. A few moments ago, we had a notice that our meeting online was going to end in about 15 minutes. Where is our? How much more time do we have in that?
6 minutes.
6 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our other link for a meeting, so you folks can move over to that, and I won't inadvertently forget to not open it.
Which chairs?
Yes. Paul, it's fun having you in person with us.
The creature from the Jekyll Island.
But it's not the
It's
creature.
a second look at the Federal Reserve by Edward Griffin.
We look at the first book there. It is Jekyll.
Can you hear me, Scott?
I do. How are you doing?
Fine. I have a question. You may have covered it several times and I just haven't been on or didn't pay attention. But there's things now that there's a couple of apps anyway you can get that will go through your computer and pull out all the things that you're paying on, all the services you're paying on,
Okay.
and how you decide what you don't want to anymore. I wonder if there's any suggestions of a best one of those kinds of apps.
Linda's shouting out Rocket Money. I have no experience with these. I've seen them advertised.
She
But
has.
Have you used Rocket Money before,
Well,
Linda?
I put my stuff in, but I didn't feel like paying.
Oh.
But-
So what do you do with the free aspect of it? Does it say we can get you out of so many?
Yeah. Well, actually, I also have Capital One, and they just told me that they're going to start that also, taking out apps that you're paying for that you're not really using.
Capital One's going to help you sort that out the way
Yeah,
Rocket.
But this Rocket Money's the best one.
Well, I have heard. I mean, like, I listen to a lot of tech podcasts. Many of them have been sponsored by Rocket Money. I like to think that I try to listen to people that are genuine, and so that I would hope that they are doing advertising with products that they can stand behind. Rocket Money has been in my scope, but I've never used it myself.
Okay, I forget what the name was, but Rocket Mortgage is the one that bought it.
Rocket Mortgage.
Rocket Mortgage owns it, the big mortgage company.
Yeah.
Okay, they bought it about, I want to say, 6 to 8 months ago, something like that. It might have been a little longer. I forget what the name of it was.
Sounds like in 6 months a job for AI. I mean, why couldn't you? Well, I give you an example too. I've got I can't remember if we talked about this before or not, but our bed and breakfast website, periodically I get a message, I get a flag from WordPress saying it's down, and inevitably before I can even look into it, it's back up. But it happens with frequency. Probably twice, 3 times a month. The WordPress Jet will send me a notification going, hey, we can't reach the website. And then within 20 minutes to an hour, it's like, your website's back up. Okay. So I told Google's Gemini AI to look inside my Gmail and make me a list of how often I'm getting a notification the website is down, and then calculate how long it's down and put it into a table so I can send out a report to our hoster to let them know this server's having a problem. And it did a fairly decent job. It's not good with math. It is just horrible with math. What it did very accurately was gave me a list of dates that the site went down on, but then the amount of time it was down was all over the board in this table. But at the very least, I could go look for these references in my email, and I could fill in that data myself. I can't help but imagine we're very close to that kind of idea with what you're talking about, Mom, where it's just you release it on your email inbox and it looks at all your receipts that you're getting for all the services you're paying for and letting you know that you can get rid of these particular services unless you're using it for this. Unless this is, otherwise you're just paying for something you're not using. I would hope it would be coupled with things like, this service lowered their price for new customers. Maybe you want to cancel or threaten to cancel. That would be a great thing to couple it with. You're paying $10 more than you should a month. Nobody told you that because they're happy to get your extra $10 a month. Things of that nature.
Something I'm interested in is like when we sign up for something, you get a month's free. And then they do tell you that if you don't respond within a month, you're automatically on it. And I'd like to get rid of some of those.
Okay, Sandy, my solution to that is if you sign up and then cancel right away, your free trial stays. Oh,
They never moved over to the other meeting.
oh,
They're in limbo now.
Oh,
Both
I
my
see.
parents are in limbo. They never made it over to the other meeting. I just realized that.
Well, it's like getting the free oh, yeah.
Here she comes. Yay!
I made it.
It's like getting the free Amazon, every time.
Prime.
Because I don't use Prime in the States. I have them at Amazon Mexico. It's $45 a year. I can wait 2 days to get my stuff.
But what is the analogy you're making?
I'm making the analogy every year, like at prime time,
Yeah.
I do the thing, and then I make a note on my calendar to make sure that I cancel before the date. Otherwise, they charge you that day.
Yeah,
They don't
I
give you
wasn't
any
smart enough to think of that.
notification.
But what I find is a lot of times if you cancel right away,
Yeah.
Oh, it's Irving's got his mic on. I just muted him.
Oh, I think I got it down.
You got your speakers down, but you came in with your mic hot.
Oh, okay.
But I just muted it, so you don't have to worry about it.
if you cancel, you subscribe to that 1 month free trial and then immediately cancel it, they say, okay, your free trial will last until the 30 days are up.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about it. You've already canceled it. You just log on or sign up and cancel. And you still get your free trial.
You're muted, Mom.
I wasn't smart enough to make note of when I signed up for these things. I'll have to do that.
But then they charge you about $10 a month to use it or something.
Oh yeah, well there's always a charge.
That's the problem with it.
Yeah, but if it's $10 a month and you've decided you don't want it, you can I mean, if you miss a month, that's not going to hurt you. But it's these that go on that you don't know that you're paying anymore. I lost the
Well-
sound.
Can you hear us?
Oh, I can't hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Where are we at? We've been doing AI. We haven't done any of these topics that I brought. Is anybody interested in this? The Electronic Frontier Foundation just had a big win. In case you guys have forgotten about this topic, but we have, for many years, we've had the government making it okay to search your data because it was caught up in conversations with data abroad. So because they're not in the United States, investigative divisions of the United States have been allowed to collect conversations, correspondence from interests in foreign countries for intelligence.
Don't come closer.
So the FBI, the CIA, the NSA have been allowed to collect foreigners' information without warrants because they are not U.S. citizens. We also extended that privilege to collecting information on U.S. citizens if they were having correspondence outside the United States, because that correspondence is sitting in that foreign region with that foreign body that's being investigated. So they gave this blanket, warrantless ability to access information in the United States when it is abroad. Well, they've been fighting it for about 10 years, and finally some federal judges came out on their side and said that it's unconstitutional to collect Americans' information outside the United States, regardless of who they're... I mean, it's unconstitutional in the first place to collect it inside the United... Let me say that. But it extends to outside the United States by U.S. government agencies because it's against the Constitution. It's warrantless search and seizure, no matter how you look at it. And so this is a big win for privacy advocates. I don't know if this is the result of Trumpian politics, but the Supreme Court is the ones that have ruled on this. In my world, this is being right every once in a while. Kind of like a broken clock can be right every once in a while.
Twice a day.
Once a day or twice a
Twice
day.
a day.
Yeah.
Twice a day.
Twice a
And
day.
so I will take the win, regardless of who's in charge, regardless of what influence have led to it. I am a privacy advocate, and I think this is a good thing that has happened. Then what else is going on? No comments on that? Nobody has any opinions on... Rich, were you aware of this warrantless search of Americans' data because they've corresponded outside the United States
Yes.
has now been ruled unconstitutional?
Yes.
Do you have any opinions on that you want to share?
Not particularly.
All right.
You feeling okay?
Move on.
Okay, well, there's also, if that doesn't make your motor run, we've got Bill Gates recommending 5 books to make sense of the world. So this is a Slashdot posting that he did some interviews recently. He's got 5 different books. Now, here's my perspective on this. I don't necessarily think these books tell us any insightful stuff. But I think that these books being recommended by Bill Gates tells us something. Tells us something about the way he expects the world to be working. And he's a powerful man. He's telling other powerful people to read these books and to use these as guides on how the world is working. And that in itself makes me very interested in these books. This is what the upper echelon, the power brokers, are basing their decisions on, is this kind of insight. Whether it's insightful or not is a whole nother argument, a whole nother discussion.
Yes.
But this list is important to pay attention to. And so this Slashdot posting goes through each book. There's some links to video interviews with Bill Gates where he's endorsing these things, and he talks about which world leaders or corporate leaders he's made these suggestions to. And so I think that's insightful and everyone should be aware of it.
He's been very active.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you get divorced. You know, you buy a new car, get hair plugs. It's really funny. It's like he's gone back to old Bill Gates.
He looks great in recent news photos.
And just for fun, I put a link in here to a guy that took his old Roomba and made it a dog food feeding robot, using the mechanics that Roomba has. I don't know if you guys have ever explored the Roomba products, but one of the things they've done.
You have a Roomba.
I do, and one of the things you actually do droid maintenance. You don't replace these things. You replace the parts in these things.
Parts.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I love 'em.
I love it too. There's a whole marketplace of parts out there. You can replace all the actuators, all the motors, the wheels, the baskets, the brushes.
The battery takes about 3 seconds to change.
Yeah, the battery's the easiest thing to change.
Yeah.
I I think there's been some questionable design choices, but maybe that's because it's so repairable. It's so very repairable. And so this guy's taken that model and he's used it as like a Lego set to do what he wants with it. He's used a Roomba and a Raspberry Pi to build an automatic dog feeder.
How does it do that?
Well, you got to watch the video.
Okay. Okay, but I mean the Cliff's Notes. It's got some dog food.
It's got a dog food dispenser on it, and it runs over to the dish and fills the dish.
Really?
Yeah.
But you still have to fill the dog food dispenser.
Well, yeah. Well, you still have to empty the vacuum cleaner bag too. I mean, life
Does
is
it
full
still-
of little
Does
necessities.
it
Clean up
vacuum?
after the dog.
I mean, a little bit of insight on that point. My wife doesn't use the robot vacuum at all. She's like, you got to clean it every day. I'm like, well, who do you think like does all the brush maintenance and bag replacement and all, band replacement on the vacuum we have now?
Yeah.
That's me. I do all that. What do you care whether I clear it out every day? The thing just runs, cleans stuff.
Well, what you need is the one that cleans itself, and they have a chamber that you clean out about every 2 weeks.
Did you see the new ones at CES? Oh, they've got arms on them. You see your Roomba, it's this little disc. It's got a door on the top.
You know, the arm comes up,
Arm pops up,
picks up socks,
and it picks up things that are in the way and vacuums under them.
or it'll take and put it in a container you designate.
I think that's vaporware. I do. I don't think that's a real thing. Do you think that actually works? I think there's a more likely scenario. It picks it up, vacuums under it, and drops it right where
The
it
cat
was.
picks the cat up. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that would be that's a whole new genre, a YouTube
cat
video.
Zoom.
Right? You know, like
Roomba,
for
yeah.
years we've been watching cats sitting on Roombas. The next style of these videos is a Roomba with a cat in its arm, and it's just
I've
running around.
heard
the house.
Roomba's advocated as cat entertainment tool.
Oh yeah. As another use for the Roomba, if you have a pool table and a bunch of people around, each person puts a ball in one of the pockets, right at the pocket, and the money, $1 or whatever, and you set the Roomba in the middle and turn it on. If it knocks your ball down, you're eliminated.
Oh, last man standing.
Last
takes
man
the pool.
standing. Yeah, I have a video of that at my house.
Does it vacuum up the dollar? Does it vacuum up that dollar?
No,
There's no dollars
but
on the table.
It does do a nice job of cleaning up the table.
Cleaning the
I
tabletop.
bet.
Yeah.
I've put my Roomba in the back of my car before, like with all the
Oh.
seats laid down, and just let it go
Yeah?
at the bottom. Yeah.
I've never thought
Does
about
it really
doing it
get
that way.
into the edges?
Yeah.
Well,
Not
it do-
really, no.
well, you see, it does some of these things so well.
Yeah.
Like the cracks, it can get right into like the corner, and it's got a brush that'll whisk out that corner. Now it doesn't necessarily pick up big stuff great, but if it goes over it a half a dozen times, like if you're watching it, does a crappy job. It's like watching water boil. It never boils. If you leave it in a room by itself, you come back, you're like, wow, look at this. This is amazing.
Yeah, when you empty the cup, that's when you see all the stuff
Right.
and how
It-
much hair it picks up.
Right.
That's amazing.
Another thing that it does amazing is it goes under the bed.
Yeah.
It just goes under it. There is no dust bunnies. There's nothing under the bed anymore because this robot's gone back and forth under it. Whereas your regular vacuum, you go 6 months before moving the bed.
Our maid does
But-
that.
Yeah.
Never,
That's impressive.
Yeah.
How much? Do you have a charger for her? It's
never
No,
watch
she
it,
charges
though.
us.
stick her in the corner. What's that?
When you watch it, it will drive you nuts because
Right.
there's no rhyme, no reason to the pattern.
It
It
drive.
will go along, and then all of a sudden it'll go all the way across the other room,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
it'll do something, and then it'll come back.
Oh, it will drive you
No
nuts.
reason.
Linda's absolutely correct. I've sat and watched my robot go right around the dirt it's supposed to clean up.
Yeah,
And you're like, no, come back. You
but
missed
then
it.
But then it does.
But if you put it in a room and you leave, you come back, all the dirt's gone. It's just, it has no real, it's fuzzy logic.
Well, we have ours that goes on at 4 o'clock in the morning. So the night before we close all the doors, because we don't have it go in all the rooms. I don't have it go in the my guest bathroom. So we close all the doors off. Then it goes on at 4. So when we get up, it's all done. Because if you watch it, it'll drive you crazy.
I think you really need to start paying attention to this field right now, because we are on a path to Terminator. And the reason is, at the last CES, these Roombas learned how to crawl up steps.
Yeah.
The exact same form factor, that disc form factor, they put these kickstands in it, so now it can raise itself up and climb up a step.
Cool.
Step. They're about to take over. The robot revolution is about to happen. Pretty soon we'll be able to use them to run Congress.
The other thing that drives you crazy is when they come to steps. You swear to God they're going to go over the edge.
Right, but
Yeah.
they've got the sensors to keep them from going
they go
out.
over about that far and then they turn around.
Yeah.
I used to have a little toy truck that did that.
I think climbing steps is the equivalent of having opposing thumbs for a Roomba.
No,
All evolution is about to go out the
we're about to de-evolve.
de-evolve.
I mean, my house is all calm.
Well, the Rubas has certainly been a blessing to have at the bed and breakfast. It makes life a
Absolutely.
lot easier.
Actually, we're a good testimony for the robot vacuum cleaners. We use them all the time in the bed and breakfast, and the real idea is you don't vacuum the way you do traditionally. You vacuum every day.
Yeah.
Every day it runs, and every day it picks up something, and overall it's cleaner than it's ever been.
Linda said that the batteries cost $25.
Yeah.
So how consumable is that?
I'd say they last about a year and a half. Maybe.
Yeah, they're probably warranted for about 300 charges and discharges, like a laptop battery.
Okay, so each year that I've had it, come down here, and I've gone home because I unplug it and put it away. I have renters at my house. When I'm gone, I don't let it run. So I unplug it and put it away, and I
You
come
just
home.
let them live in filth.
They can clean themselves. But I put it away, and then when I come home, I have to order a new battery.
Yeah, just about every year I'm buying new batteries.
It's the brushes.
I don't think I've ever run through a brush.
And they've got like 3 little
Well,
brushes.
You may not have, but we've replaced them while we've been there.
Okay.
Anya used to replace them, and now I replace them.
You get in the corner.
Are you still interested in my horror story?
You
I
have a
think we
horse?
are, Chester. As you can see, we've devolved into random conversation.
Kind of back to AI with the Roomba.
Right?
Then we come full circle.
Similar, yeah.
Let's hear
Okay.
Chester's horror story.
Uh-oh.
If Lynn.
Well, for many years, I have had my checking account and my brokerage account with one large custodial company.
Can you turn it up louder?
I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying not. Let me. You know what? Let me turn off our microphone. So. All right, go ahead, Chester.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, what I was saying is that for a number of years, I've had my checking account and brokerage account with one large custodial company. And one of the features they offer is that if I happen to make an overdraft on either my ATM card or a check, that they will set up an overdraft liability that will enable me to take care of it rather than reject the request. So I opened up, I fortunately checked my mail I checked my bank account almost every day. And on the 22nd, I checked it and I noticed that they had approved a check for $184,006.
Jesus, really?
Yes. And most of that wound up being an overdraft since there were insufficient funds to cover that. And that overdraft then went to an overdraft liability under the provisions of their bank account, of my bank account.
Wow. So what have you learned from this, Chester? What do you, I mean, like, they're not holding you responsible for that, right?
Yeah, they were. And since I caught it and called them about it, it was within a 24-hour framework, and they were able to reject the request for the payment. And come to find out, the check that had cleared my account had all the information that was required for one of my checks. It was not one of my checks because it was different printing that I later found out.
Well, actually, yeah, in this day and age, it doesn't have, I mean, it could be just a piece of scrap paper if it's got the routing numbers on it, all the correct information on it.
But it did have all that information. And since that account had only been opened for about 2 months, someone had gotten a hold of a check of mine, not a blank check, but a written check, which I write very few, and had copied all the information and had printed their own checks. And I still now have that account blocked. I can't use it, and I can't use my debit card. So the lesson in this is, if your bank offers an overdraft provision, don't accept it.
Oh, so that, yeah, you'd rather
check
dispute
bounce.
it. You'd rather it bounce and dispute the bounce than have them pulling into your other account.
Yeah,
That's,
they did pull it into my other account, and the other account had very little cash in it that was uninvested. So there was not enough cash there. I mean, there was no cash anywhere to cover $184,000.
you know, this is fun for me. I set up my daughter with her first checking account a few years back, and they asked us about overdraft protection. And she and I, standing there in front of them, started back and forth. I explained to her what it was and how it would be used, and she's looking at it going, well, wouldn't that mean that if I made a mistake, they might end up pulling a bunch of money out of my savings account? And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what that would mean, so that you would be inconvenienced. And she's like, no, probably better we don't turn that on. I'd rather them just tell me I made a mistake.
It charged me $25.
That's right.
$35.
Yeah.
Whatever it is now.
$35 now.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, but
tell
she
you
doesn't
more
write
about-
checks in the first place. In
tell you
fact,
more about the story.
yeah, Chester. Well, I'm sorry that's.
Since the custodial, since somebody has my account information, they have closed the account, and it remains closed for 6 days. And today is the 6th day. So today I should have a new account established with a new number, and then I'll have to sort out all of the people that regularly draw monthly payments out of my account. I'll have to reestablish all of those. Then I received a letter yesterday from the United States Post Office, and they had found a piece of mail that was open and had my name and address on it, so they sent it to me. And it was another check for $85,000.60.
Wow.
So I just thought I'd share this horror story with you. There is a lesson here, which is the overdraft protection. And I will not have that in the new account.
You know what the overdraft protection reminds me of is the locate your computer. I don't know if you ever heard about this story with the Macintosh computer. Chester, I'm sorry you're dealing with that stuff. And this sounds like a good reason to reevaluate whether you're using the overdraft protection. I don't mean to disregard any of that information. But there was a journalist whose one of his devices had gotten stolen, and he used Find My on his Macintosh as well as his iPad as well as his iPhone. And when his device was stolen, his account was compromised. They were able to wipe out all his data on the computer that was sitting on his desk because he had given Apple the ability to do that. So they compromised his account and then wiped out, and the reason they did it was to make it harder to track down his stolen device, his stolen data. One of the first things they did was told it to, all the other devices were stolen, and to wipe the data on those devices. So he lost everything just by losing this one device. And the reason he lost everything had less to do with his insecure, him being insecure, and more to do with, if I'm remembering this right, Apple's policy on giving people access again. It was a story about how Apple, you could spoof Apple if you were in criminal intent and you had just enough information, you could spoof them into giving you, and Apple actually had to change the way they would approach customers so that this couldn't happen again. Aw.
Yeah.
I guess as we've reached the end, Linda says we're at the end of this meeting. I guess that means we're done. If you don't have enough, oh, hey, you know what we normally do? Cheryl's not with us. But we do some recommendations at the end of one of our meetings. Does anybody have a recommendation to shout out? I have.
Oh,
We have a book recommendation.
It's really technical.
The Creature from Jekyll Island.
There it is.
All right.
Opener. Ooh.
This is a fairly famous book. I've heard this title mentioned many times.
I have a recommendation for Chester. Is Chester still online?
Chester, you still with us? Maybe, maybe not. Nope, he's gone. Nobody's online. Everybody left. Well, except for us.
What did he
It's
say?
all about
Chopped
check
liver?
foraging. Old film. Catch Me. Can.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a fun movie. Yeah.
Okay, everybody's.
Leonardo DiCaprio, based on a real story, true story.
I had never seen that film.
Oh,
And somebody recommended. Watched it a couple days.
oh,
Very
Yeah.
enjoyable.
good film.
Very enjoyable.
So, one thing about fraudulent bank accounts. Years ago, when they first started putting the number on the bottom of your check, before you just had a check with it was blank. When I was in university, you also they sent you your checks and your deposit slip, and your deposit slip had the number. Somebody got the bright idea. They just went into a bank and put their deposit slips in
See, Jim?
in the slot, like their tables had the stuff sitting there. So you just picked it. You didn't pay any attention. You wrote it out. It went into their account, not yours.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Sure, you just take some of these deposit slips
you
and
take-
preemptively.
You just set it into the
Scott, thank you.
You're
generic-
welcome, Irving.
Everyone.
generic.
We'll see you next week, I hope.
And that went on for a month or so before they figured out, wait a minute, this isn't such a good idea. So all of the blank stuff, the generic stuff, came out of the slots, and they weren't there anymore.
All right, well, everybody's left except for Bill, Paul, and myself. We're sitting here by ourselves at the end of this meeting. The only other recommendation I had made earlier was the Better Off Dead podcast, which gives you some great a visceral insight into AI development at the moment. Paul's being collected in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Paul. Hopefully we'll see you next week. If not here, then from your chair at home.
Well, his chair at Tequilas at home.
That's right, his perpetual tequila chair.
You good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be on the best behavior.
You have a limited amount of demerits for the week before you're. Yeah.
Castigado. All right. Well, this is Bill, Paul, and Scott saying tech on until next week.
Back on.
We'll catch you next Tuesday, same time, same place, same channel. Until then, adios, amigos.